Relay, we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Unbeaten up-and-comers Tiaria Brown and Virginia Fuchs had a very interesting interaction by way of social media. Tiaria asked, I wonder why Matchroom and Eddie Hearn keeps having female fights at Madison Square Garden, yet won't give many American female boxers the opportunity to fight on them, to which Virginia replied, right, I keep asking the same thing. Been trying to get on these Matchroom cards. There is a pool of really talented American female boxers. Hello, we're ready to fight. Last April, on the undercard of Taylor versus Serrano, Franchon Cruz, an American fighter, an American champion, was given the opportunity to become an undisputed champion opposite the ring, Aline Cedar-Ruz. And she did that. She's an American fighter. The two champions headlining next month's show, Alicia Baumgartner, Amanda Serrano. Those are American fighters, American-based fighters as well. Moreover, those are Matchroom fighters. I mean, what's not being said here is that neither Tiara Brown or Virginia Fuchs have a promotional deal with Matchroom, so when Matchroom does a show, why would their names pop up? Unless either Tiara Brown or Virginia Fuchs are going to be opposite the ring Matchroom fighters, Matchroom has no reason to consider them or give them slots on their shows. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not against Matchroom signing Tiara Brown or Virginia Fuchs, but the reality of it is they're not signed to Matchroom. And Matchroom already hosts one of the more robust stables of female fighters from around the world. Ebony Bridges and Sky Nicholson from Australia, Shannon Courtenay, Ellie Scottney, Ramla Ali, Nina Hughes, Chantel Cameron from the UK, Rhiannon Dixon too, Katie Taylor from Ireland, Alicia Baumgartner from America, and, more or less, Amanda Serrano, Franchon Cruz as well, at least up until recently, Beatriz Ferreira from Brazil. The old saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Ask and you shall receive, but maybe it's how you're asking. Or who? Should the onus to sign American talent in America be on Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, or should the onus to do so be placed on American-based promotional outfits like Top Rank, like the PBC, like Golden Boy? None of those outfits have as big a stable of female fighters and Valkyries like Matchroom have. You know, Top Rank only has 2 female fighters signed to their promotional banners, Anicia Estrada and Michaelia Mayer. They could do with 2 more. Virginia Fuchs would fit right into their stable of male and female Olympians. I like Virginia, by the way. I like Tiara, too, but I'm just saying, Matchroom ain't the only game in town. And I don't see any of these female fighters based out of America laying guilt trips for those promotional outfits the way they do for Matchroom. Matchroom is a global promotional outfit, you understand. Not uniquely American and not uniquely from the United Kingdom, at least not anymore. Thus, they host a global stable of fighters. Some from the UK, some from the US, some from Australia. But you get the gist of it. If you ask me, it's actually Top Rank that should invest in more American female talent, more so than any other outfit, as they do have a broadcast deal with the biggest sports network in this country. Thus, an American-based fighter like a Virginia Fuchs or a Tiaria Brown, for them it would be ideal to fight on such a platform, and yet I don't see anybody laying these guilt trips for Uncle Bob, a Carl Moretti, a Todd Dubois. Virginia Fuchs actually made her professional debut on a top-ranked show. I believe it was on the undercard of one of Michaela Mayer's fights. I remember speaking to former WBO featherweight champion Heather Hardy. She said Al Heyman, at least then, he didn't have any interests in signing girls. He doesn't want to sign any female fighters, and that doesn't appear to have changed that sentiment. But why isn't more pressure placed on Al Heyman or Samson Lukowicz or Sean Gibbons, Stefan Espinoza as a network executive over there at Showtime, where Clarissa Shields used to fight before she parted ways with them, citing unfair treatment and unequal pay? Why isn't more made of that? I wouldn't mind it at all if Matchroom made the decision to sign the captain and Tiaria Brown along with her. I've long maintained that Tiaria Brown is the best kept secret at or around featherweight, and Virginia Fuchs left a lasting impression on me. Yeah, I saw her pro debut. She's the goods. But I also understand if Matchroom reserves the right to sign fighters they feel they can promote, given what they've already got, because they've already got a full plate. They've got a lot of male fighters to accommodate. They've got a lot of female fighters to accommodate. Sandy Ryan, Maisie Rose. They actually already have a few unbeaten up-and-comers that they're grooming to become world champions. Ellie Scottney, Ramla Ali.
You're asking why they're using their own fighters on their own show?
Am I hearing this right? You should be asking. What you should be asking is why don't the American-based promotional outfits pick you up?
And if what you come back and tell me is you tell me they don't want to.
I wouldn't be mad if Matchroom decided to scoop up both Tiara Brown and the captain and Virginia Fuchs, but they do already have a lot of talent, a lot of fighters to accommodate. In men's super middleweight news, former two-division champion Demetrius Andrade on Canelo, potentially facing John Ryder. Just more bullshit, bro. Just another easy fight. More excerpts from Demetrius Andrade's recent interview on The Boxing Voice. Just more bullshit, bro. Andrade said on The Boxing Voice, just more bullshit. That's just what it is. Just another easy fight, another situation for him to go in and say, I'm fighting the best. I'm not disrespecting John Ryder, but come on, bro. He's not the best.
But you are?
What makes you so special? All the fights that you didn't have, all the marquee value you don't bring to the table, the titles you don't bring to the table. What exactly characterizes Demetrius Andrade as being the best?
What exactly?
What makes Demetrius Andrade so special? Didn't John Ryder go in there and take on the guy that Demetrius Andrade was supposed to fight?
Didn't he incapacitate him? Didn't he render him unable to continue?
John Ryder takes the leap of faith that Demetrius Andrade didn't. Now, Demetrius Boo-Boo Andrade, who ought to be called Boo-Hoo Andrade.
This guy's always fucking crying about Canelo.
Do you know why he does it? Why he really does it? He's not creating enough interest in his own career with his own fights. He doesn't have a legion of his own fans to line his own pockets with. He wants to capitalize off Canelo's fan base the same way that a lot of these guys do. That's the real reason they want to fight him.
You think he's calling out Canelo because he wants to fight the best? Is that what you think this is all about?
I'll tell you what. If Demetrius Andrade were in the habit of fighting the best fighters he can fight, his resume wouldn't look the way that it does. Canelo Alvarez fought some of the best fighters, if not the best fighters, at 154 pounds, 160, and 168.
At 154 pounds, he fought a then unbeaten Austin Trout, who was coming off a career best win over Hall of Famer Miguel Cotto.
He fought an unbeaten Austin Trout in his prime. He fought a high-risk, low-reward fighter in Arislandi Lara, a guy who Demetrius Andrade never got around to fighting at 154 or 160.
And while he was doing that, what was Demetrius Andrade doing? I'll tell you what he was doing. Pulling out of a Charlo fight.
Canelo fought in a high-risk, low-reward fight opposite the ring Cuban amateur standout Arislandi Lara, while Demetrius couldn't be bothered to do the same thing.
Go figure.
The reporters have to stop letting the situation like Canelo. I know the truth. You can't even ask Canelo questions because you won't be able to have interviews with him. You can't give him real backlash because you never speak to him. I understand. It's a business for everybody, bro. Everybody wants conversations with people. But if you mention Demetrius Andrade, there's no conversation. There's no questions.
Demetrius says it's a business for everybody like it's not a business for him. The only reason he wants to fight Canelo is to line his pockets.
It's not about fighting the best fighters to Demetrius Andrade. It's not about his own career. It's not about legacy. It's about capitalizing off the legacy that Canelo built. It's about capitalizing on the legion of fans that he has, because outside of that, Demetrius doesn't want to fight the best.
You're giving Canelo Alvarez shtick for fighting John Ryder, but look at who you're fighting.
He says, of course, John Ryder's the worst of options when you've got Jermall Charlo, when you've got Demetrius Andrade, when you've got the rematch with Bivol, when you've got other guys that's been champion in the same weight class as him, Andrade said. Alvarez has repeatedly called for a rematch with Bivol and could fight the Russian champion in the fall of this year. You sound like a Canelo fan over there, bro, Andrade continued, referring to his interviewers. You'd rather see him fight John Ryder than Charlo because he's inactive? What kind of shit is that? What type of excuse is that? I'm inactive too. What's that mean? He shouldn't fight me? At the end of the day, in a situation like that, you take the opportunity if it's presented to you.
Fighting you is not an opportunity for Canelo Alvarez. It's an opportunity for you, and you're an opportunist.
So's the other guy he mentioned, Jermall Charlo, who has been inactive for the last 12 months, doesn't campaign in the men's super middleweight division.
You two are peas in a pod.
You deserve each other because you both cut from the same cloth. What you can't garner, what you can't earn with your own low-risk fights, you hope to earn by clout chasing and coattailing Canelo Alvarez, who has bigger fish to fry than you.
Don't forget that while Demetrius Andrade was under orders to face Yanibek Alimkhanuly, he appeared on video after the order came down, inebriated, drunk,
begging for Chris Eubank Jr., another middleweight, begging for Chris Eubank Jr. to give him a call. So you couldn't make middleweight for Yanibek Alimkhanuly, but you were willing to do it for Chris Eubank Jr., who wasn't your mandatory challenger. Yanibek was.
Remember, he told Nesta Gibbs of the Boxing Voice he didn't want to fight Yanibek because he was done at middleweight.
And I know why you didn't just fight Johnny Beck. Why, like, how is Zach Parker any more popular than Johnny Beck? They the same.
Because I am not fighting at 160.
Oh, so you just can't make weight no more. You was
Yeah,
ready
but
to
I'm
move
going
up.
up to like 160's over for me.
Chris Eubanks, y'all offer a lot of money to fight me, bro. Over $1 million. For me, it's like over $1 million, bro. We're talking like, I'm not like, it's not for the fans' sake, bro. It's for your pockets, for your dad. It's for, like, your mom, your dad. I don't know if you got kids. I got kids. I got 4 kids, bro. You feel me? I do what I do. But there's a whole lot of money on the table for me and you to fight for the WBO super. And then when I say super, I mean like super. Not super middleweight champion, but yo, bro, we are stars, bro. You're a star, I'm a star. I'm a superstar, you're a star. Got 2 losses. You're gonna make a lot of money. So let's put this fight together.
Remember what he told Nesta Gibbs a few days ago? He was done at middleweight. Couldn't make it anymore for Yanibek, but he was willing to defend his title against Chris Eubank Jr., who had 2 losses. Brought them up himself.
Boxing doesn't need guys like this.
Canelo Alvarez has a consistent track record from 154 to 160 up to 168 and even 175. Fighting the best fighters he can fight. He fought Erislandy Lara. You didn't. He fought Gennady Golovkin. You didn't. He fought Daniel Jacobs.
Who has Demetrius Andrade fought that compares?
That compares to Erislandy Lara in his prime, Austin Trout when he was unbeaten, Miguel Cotto,
Gennady Golovkin, Daniel Jacobs. Tell me, who is Demetrius Andrade fought that compares to those guys?
Who has he fought that compares to 2-division unbeaten champion Billy Joe Saunders, a guy who he was about to fight?
The fight fell apart. We all know why, but what are you saying? You're saying that Billy's good enough for you, but he's not good enough for Canelo Alvarez?
When it comes to Demetrius Andrade and his own career, he's always got some good fucking reason.
Pulled out on Jermel Charlo, passed on Matvey Korobov.
Had no intention of facing Erislandy Lara, who he said was boring and a last resort. He preferred to fight Jack Colquet.
He passed on Sergey Derevianchenko. More recently, he passed on Yanibek Alimkhanuly, and let's be honest, he bailed on Zach Parker.
With a track record like this, you tell me if you believe that this guy was really injured.
And now he wants to trash Canelo Alvarez for fighting a top 10 guy in the super middleweight division while he keeps busy with Desmond Nicholson.
Edgar Berlanga's sloppy seconds. I mean, talk about not being able to read the room. Talk about a sheer lack of situational awareness.
You still want a Canelo Alvarez fight, do you? Take a number.
Speaking of Dimitri Bivol, who we just mentioned in passing, the story is, according to Eddie Hearn, he may end up facing unbeaten Olympian Joshua Buatsi in what would be a keep busy fight for Dimitri and a massive step up in competition for Joshua. In truth, there are worse guys to keep busy with than an unbeaten up-and-comer and a former Olympian, though I think most would heavily favor Dimitri Bivol to win this fight for a myriad of reasons, the difference in experience being the most obvious.
Dimitri's been in there with seasoned guys like Sullivan Barrera, Joe Smith Jr., former champion, and John Pascal.
Canelo Alvarez, unbeaten Zerto Ramirez.
Dimitri and Joshua share a common opponent in Craig Spider Richards.
But the buck stops there. That's all they've got in common in terms of resume. So the glaring disparity in quality of competition is noteworthy. And and styles. The styles of the fighters. Styles, as we all know. They do make fights, and Demetrius Bivol has proven to be a more malleable fighter than Joshua Buatsi. Demetrius can be economic when he needs to be economic, and he can hit the gas when he needs to, whereas Joshua Buatsi, he's a sharpshooter.
He's always economic. He's not a combination puncher.
He picks his shots, picks his punches, and he's fairly good at it. He has a fairly strong punch as well.
But he's not so strong a puncher, not proven to be so big a puncher that I think he can go in there and knock out Demetrius Bivol. Demetrius, who took a monster, a mammoth right hand from the likes of Joe Smith Jr. and didn't lose his footing.
I don't think for a second that Joshua Buatsi could have absorbed that same right hand from Joe Smith Jr. and not hit the canvas and not hit the deck. I don't actually trust Joshua Buatsi's chin, and I don't trust his gas tank as well.
He already doesn't have a high work rate. If you force him to work, if you force him to fight, he'll burn through his energy reserves that much faster.
They both like to play the sharpshooter. They're both cerebral fighters. Boxers is what they really are, the both of them, but Demetrius is more proven, more malleable. He'd be the massive favorite in this thing, and I was wondering, what would Demetrius Bivol do in the mean in-between time while Artur Beterbiev settles up with his mandatory challenger, Anthony Yarde?
It's a question. If Artur's fighting Anthony and Canelo's fighting John, what would Demetrius do in the mean in-between time? And I guess we have our answer.
In truth, I think this is a fight that Callum Smith, former WBA super middleweight champion turned light heavyweight contender, I feel like this is a fight that he's actually more ready for than Joshua Buatsi.
So all the same, I'd pick Demetrius to beat Callum as well, but I think Callum is a bit more durable, certainly more experienced than Joshua Buatsi. He's been a champion before.
I don't mind Bivol versus Buatsi in the interim, though make no mistake, I heavily favor Demetrius Bivol to, at minimum, win a points decision opposite the ring Joshua Buatsi.
And if he ends up fighting him and beating him, he's on some hell of a run. Canelo Alvarez to unbeaten Zerto to unbeaten Joshua.
Unbeaten amateur standout Olympian turned light heavyweight contender Joshua Buatsi. That's a nice scalp to add to the mantle while he waits for his opportunity to become his division's undisputed champion.
Based on where we are now, this is a fight that would presumably take place in the second quarter of this year. April, May, maybe June.
We're in January now, so there's still time for them to do it towards the tail end of the first quarter or at some point in the second quarter. But it is clear that Demetrius needs to get back out there.
Whether he's going to fight the winner of Beterbiev versus Yarde or Canelo for a second time.